I'm very much hoping that this video is going to record. Hey friends! So you might notice that I've officially sat in a different corner of the house. I am filming on my phone because I haven't unpacked my camera yet. It's been a month. I'm very lazy. My memory card arrived in the mail today, so maybe my next video will actually be on a camera. I don't know, but who cares, whatever. Just having a chat. Just you and me having a chat. It's fine. I'm not in the official place I want to make videos in because I want that place to be very pretty, and most of the stuff that is going to make it very pretty is still about an hour's drive in storage. So, welcome to my curtains and my television. This is the TV I don't use and the curtains I can't open because it goes directly into my neighbour's window. People built this house. I don't know who, they were very good at it. Talked in a couple of vlogs before about the Australian job search system, basically. I don't know if I worded that right, but it's basically the system that links onto our benefit system that helps you find a job when you're on unemployment benefits. And it's the compulsory service. I said that like, it's a compulsory service. I should do impressions just of myself. Yeah, it's a compulsory service, so what happens in our neck of the woods is you turn up to a meeting every 2 weeks, which is what I'm doing at the moment, and somebody, at least for the disability side, who doesn't have a disability, tells you what jobs you have to search for and checks in, and thanks Mia, bye. They assessed me and I told them about the fibromyalgia and the endometriosis and the asthma and the cystitis, the interstitial cystitis, and the fatigue and the brain fog and the trigeminal neuralgia and the gastritis and the hypothyroidism and the everything else. And they were like, oh, that sounds terrible. And then they assessed me only based on the fact that I had anxiety and depression and told me I could work part-time, 30 hours a week. But yeah, so that's what I'm going through at the moment. But it's kind of led to like a week full of reflection because I used to be able to work 30 hours a week. Anyway, it's led me on to a tangent of thinking about how do we maintain careers and jobs when we have chronic illness? Because I don't know. And what I've been thinking is a big part of having a job when you're chronically ill is the way it works with your colleagues and your boss. So I had a job and I was working 25 hours a week, which, oh, I got the hiccups. Oh. When I got the job, I was a lot better than what I am now. And that was only like, probably a year and a half ago? Yeah, I think a year and a half ago. So to me, I actually started working there when I was in a healthy part of my life. I think with a job when you're chronically ill, you have to have a boss that understands. You've got to have colleagues that understand and don't talk about you behind your back. And you've got to have flexibility. And I think travel time comes into it a lot too. Because I was living in the country and my job was for in the country. But for the first month, I think, it was supposed to be for the first 2 weeks I had to train in the city. And 2 weeks turned into a month. And then a month turned into 2 months. And eventually our country store was ready to go and I was ready to move down there. And by that point I was starting to get sick because working till 10 PM, catching a bus for an hour and a half home, getting up the next day and going straight back there, was starting to take that toll on my body, and my body obviously wasn't able to recover because I was getting non-restorative sleep. Fibromyalgia was kind of getting in the background there, and my endo was kind of getting back, and I was really having to push myself. But I was really convinced that this is what was going to hold me, because I'd had a couple of in-between jobs that were, I'd worked in a pet shop, which was great and fun, but it didn't pay any money at all. And I'd done I'd done some dog walking and pet sitting and stuff that was kind of just burning out and not paying, and there was this job that was going to pay my money, and I was going to pay for my animals, it was going to pay for my house, I was going to be able to have the house I liked living in, and everything was going to be fine. So I was like, okay, look, I'm starting to feel sick, but I'm holding on there. So I got to the new place, which was where I was initially supposed to be working, but then got put off and switched around. And I was like, okay, cool. And that went okay for a while. We had some hiccups, like I found out I was getting asthma attacks. I think at one stage I got them every single shift for about 3 weeks. And these weren't just like, oh no, I've got an asthma attack. These were having to go to the emergency room because I stopped breathing asthma attacks. And it was just the worst imaginable thing. This is where it starts to come undone, because I'd done everything I could to push through the stuff that was holding me back, and I was doing okay. This is when other people not taking the time to understand things that I had explicitly explained to them in a really thoughtful and thorough way that was pretty easy to take into account. I got bullied. Not just, I had people saying, so and so said this about you, they said you should quit because you're useless, we've got no use for you here, and you should leave because you're just a junk person. Like, I had that stuff going on, and that stuff is awful, and it gets in your head, and it sucks when it's coming from management, and it sucks when it's coming from everyone around you. And then I had an incident where I was on my way to the hospital, I was on my way to the emergency room, and one of the people who had taken it upon themselves to be in charge that night, so they were just a normal colleague, not a manager, not anything like that. Didn't matter if they were a manager, because nobody should behave this way. I wasn't breathing, and they came up and they stood an inch from my face and started screaming in my face about how I was lying, or like, was I sure I was having an asthma attack because it didn't look like it. I mean, I'm on my way to the emergency room because I'm not breathing. And I needed, this is the crappy part, was I needed someone there to call me an ambulance, and I was not able to communicate words properly at this point. When you get to the point in asthma attack when you can't speak is when you need to go to an ambulance. And I had to text my mum, who was 20 minutes away, to organise me to get to the hospital, because nobody at my job would help me. They were just screaming in my face. You can imagine what that did for my anxiety and depression. Even if I hadn't had anxiety and depression, you imagine that would do. What you can imagine how that would affect you. I was coming home from the emergency room a few hours later, and I had somebody from the head office of the company that I was working for ring me. No, I was still in the hospital, I think. And they rang me and asked me, sorry, but this is just so ridiculous. They rang me and asked me, had I asked permission to leave to go to the hospital, and had I picked an appropriate time to have the asthma attack based on how many customers were in the store and what the other staff were doing. Now, I should delve into the fact that I was having an asthma attack based on an allergen that was in the workplace that was being not like wasn't being appropriately evacuated from the workplace, but it wasn't just my lungs giving in, it was a reaction to something there. And it was just every single day there was something new going around. Somebody had said, oh, okay, it's useless, or I would have to call in sick because I was literally going to the hospital, but very few things were independent of the actual place. But I would ring up and say, hey, I'm actually sick today. And I'd just get screamed at down the phone. And I'd be in tears and get hung up on. And essentially all of this culminated into me having an official nervous breakdown. I got to work one day and my mum actually drove me in. And I sat in the front seat of the car. And I remember starting crying probably like 3 or 4 minutes before we got there. And I just couldn't get out of the car. And I think I'd known it was coming on, like, I just felt so scared to go to that place because I knew that I was going to get picked on, abused, have people stand and scream in my face. I knew that they were going to say things about me behind my back, or I'd find out the latest rumours about what people had said about me. And I just sat in that car with my uniform on and I cried so freaking hard. And Mum said to me, I think, like, are you going to go in? Like, obviously she said more than that. That made her sound horrible. No, she was like comforting me and everything. But I mean, like, it came to the point where I was like, am I gonna go in? And I literally couldn't make my legs move out of the door. So I had to make my mum go into my work and tell them that no, I wasn't coming in. 5 minutes before my shift. Which, it made me feel anxious, but at the same time, most of the people in there were the people that had brought this on, and I don't think that they could have known. I don't think they could have not known what they were doing. Like, I don't see how it was possible that you could not know that bullying someone, standing inches from their face, screaming at them down the phone, saying things about them about how they're useless to other people in the store, and then having it get back to them. I don't know how you could not know how that would affect them, especially when it's to do with their disability and you know that it's to do with their disability. Anyway, she took me straight to my doctor, who fit me in like as an emergency case because I had just no ability to cope, who gave me sedatives because I could not function, and it was probably like the lowest point, the lowest point that I had ever been at, because I just could not stop sobbing. And she put me on leave because it wasn't safe for me to go back there. In terms of my lungs, it wasn't safe for me to go back there, but in terms of my mental health, it wasn't safe for me to go back and be with people like that. But now, like, that's left a permanent scar with me. I am so scared to go back to any workplace because I know that I can hit that low again, because I know that there are people who are going to use my illness against me for reasons I don't understand. And I guess I hope, like, a few things from the video, I guess, other than just getting it off of my chest and probably getting in trouble for posting it by someone, I don't know, is that if there's something you're going through right now, you're totally not alone. If you need someone to talk to about it, find me on Facebook or make a comment, and I'm totally here for you because I've been there. Secondly, if you have an employee or a colleague who is disabled or sick, anything, do not be that person. You don't have to treat us with kid gloves, but it is so, you almost have to make the choice to be that person. I don't see how you don't make the choice to come that close to someone's face and scream at them or yell at them down the phone. That is a choice you make. Don't make that choice. Always just be considerate. If that person doesn't have the same life as you, just be like, hey, you know what? They don't have the same life as me. Maybe I don't understand or have a feel for what they have in their life, but I don't need to bully them because of that. I guess too that I want to say that if it is something you're going through or you're scared of going through, or if you've hit that rock bottom right now, it's okay, man. You know, you walk away from those people and maybe sometimes you take a couple sedatives and eventually you move on and they don't move on. Because they can't move on because they're genuinely terrible people. And I like to pretend that everyone has some good in them. Some people don't have good in them. Some people just have mediocre crap in them. And there's nothing you can do about it. And it's not even because of you. It's just unfortunate that you were the target of that mediocre crap. But being the target of that mediocre crap is way better than being the mediocre crap. Because you can put it behind you, and you will put it behind you, and you'll find yourself in a way better situation within like a couple of weeks. You know, everything starts to get better the second that they don't have that hold anymore. Or the second that even just mentally they don't have that hold over you. Like the second that you're like, right, I don't care what you think anymore. Things start to get a little better every single day. I really hope that wasn't too rambly. I just wanted to put something out. I just wanted to make a video. I like to make videos. And that's been playing on my mind because I've been applying for jobs. And I'm really scared about it. Really scared about it. I'll probably talk about jobs a bit more because it's like in my field of vision right now. But if you have any comments to make, or if you had a similar experience, I would really like to hear about your experience. And if you have any coping mechanisms for people like this, my gosh, would I like to hear them. So please let us know. You can find us on Facebook, definitely in the comments. Just hit this up in the comments. Was a weird point, wasn't it? Or on Twitter, everything's just in the description bar. This is gonna be a super long video, so I'm gonna go now. After I probably got myself in a heap of trouble for uploading information I shouldn't have. Alright guys, I will see you next time. Bye!